Folks, in this video today, I'm going to be giving my official Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2023 record predictions. If you guys are new here, go ahead and subscribe and let me know your Tampa Bay Buccaneers record predictions down in the comments section below. I would love to hear what record you guys think the Buccaneers are going to have. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'm going to be going through this on a game-by-game basis, starting off with week number 1 versus the Minnesota Vikings. It is a 1 p.m. game. I give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a loss here. It is in Minnesota. The Vikings still have a very, very solid passing attack with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, the reigning offensive player of the year. I think they have added some pieces to the defensive side of their roster, and I think overall this is a team that the Buccaneers can hang with, and I think can certainly beat. However, I do have the Vikings winning here in week number 1. Moving on to week number 2, you have the Chicago Bears, and I have the Buccaneers winning this matchup. I think that Chicago is a team that certainly had a very good offseason. They have guys with a good amount of potential. You have DJ Moore in that receiving room now. You have Justin Fields at quarterback. You traded the number 1 overall pick and got some pieces in there, but I'm still pretty critical of Justin Fields at this point in his career. I'm probably one of the more critical guys out there, and I'm sure that will definitely bite me whenever this season does start. But I think ultimately the Buccaneers can defeat this Chicago Bears team, and I think that they will get the victory here at the Chicago Bears in week 2. Then in week number 3, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. It is a home game for the Bucs, which is good, but I give the Eagles the win here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers I have losing in week number 3. And look, the Eagles have such a good team. They did just draft Jalen Carter. They did draft Nolan Smith. Those were luxury picks, if I'm being honest. The Eagles are just one of the best built teams in football right now. They seemingly have stars at every single position group you can imagine. They just played in the Super Bowl. They are definitely going to be a contender to go back to the Super Bowl. And, you know, they are beating the Bucs here, but to be honest, the Eagles are going to be beating a lot of teams this upcoming season. So it isn't necessarily the end of the world there. But in week number 4 at the New Orleans Saints, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing again. Going into the bye week, an early bye week at that, in week 5, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at a 1-3 record. And look, I understand that the Saints have lost a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the football, but I think that their offense has improved and are ready to be a legitimate complement to that defense of the Saints, albeit a depleted defense. You still have, Alvin Kamara and I shouldn't even say Mark Ingram. You still have Alvin Kamara running back. Depending on what happens with that situation, that could certainly change things here for this matchup, but you still have some good pieces. You still have a good offensive line. You have Derek Carr at quarterback. He's the best quarterback they've had, in my opinion, since Drew Brees left the team. And I think that ultimately playing the Saints away is always going to be a tough matchup. I don't care who it is. It's not going to be an easy matchup, be it the Bucs, be it anybody else. So I think the Saints do get the better of the Buccaneers here. The Bucs are 1-3 heading into the bye week. Then, going into the bye week, you then obviously have no game. Week number 6, you have the Detroit Lions. And folks, I'm giving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers another loss here. They're going to be 1-4 coming out of the bye week and going up against the Lions here. The Lions are a good team, folks. They have Jared Goff. They did trade away DeAndre Swift, but they do have Miles Sanders. They got some good receivers. They have a star budding defense, in my opinion. I think the Lions are going to be a team that is legitimately a team that can win the NFC North and be even, I would say at minimum, a wild card team, and I will go ahead and give them the win against the Buccaneers here. They're 1-4, and I know that doesn't sound great, but just stick with me. We'll keep on going. In week number 7 versus the Atlanta Falcons, I give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a win here. I think that Desmond Ridder does have some good pieces around him. Obviously, Bijan Robinson, you have Drake London, you have some other guys in there as well, but at home, the Bucs have always done pretty well against the Falcons. I think that streak could certainly continue here. I'm going to give them a win against this Falcons team that is still trying to find their footing, could certainly be competing for the NFC South, but may also still be a team that is a little bit in a rebuilding type of phase right now. Week 8, you have the Buffalo Bills Bills, the second primetime game the Buccaneers are faced with. I'm going to give them a loss here, folks. The Bucs, if I'm being honest, have not always been the best in Thursday night football types of games. The Buffalo Bills, they're another really good team. And I think that Josh Allen is an absolute beast. Stephon Diggs is there. Gabriel Davis is there. You have so many different types of weapons and pieces there. They still have a really good defense as well. It's going to be a short week. I just think the Buccaneers are going to be a little bit overmatched and overpowered by this Buffalo Bills team. But going into week number 9, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning against the Houston Texans, who are definitely still in a rebuilding type of mode with CJ Stroud and some of the other pieces that they have there on their roster currently. Like DeMeco Ryans as a head coach, I think he can certainly be good, but I don't think this Texans team is a team that is ready to win a lot of games just yet. I give the Buccaneers a win here, and then they followed up with another win in week number 10 against the Tennessee Titans. I think that Ryan Tannehill, he might be a little bit cooked at the quarterback position. I don't think they've added a ton in terms of wide receiver talent, some offensive line pieces. They lost Taylor Lewan. They still have some things they've got to figure out, the Titans do. They did draft Will Levis, which is a very interesting selection. Heck, he might even be the quarterback that the Buccaneers face in week number 10, if that is the case, or even if it is Ryan Tannehill. I still give the Buccaneers a win here against a Titans team that's still trying to figure some things out, definitely still trying to bounce back after a lackluster season last year, but I think the Buccaneers would prevail in a matchup. Moving on to week number 11 versus the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to go ahead and give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a loss here. I think that be it Sam Darnold, if Brock Purdy is not healthy, be it Brock Purdy if he is healthy, be it Trey Lance, the 49ers, man, they have so many offensive pieces. They have such a good defense. They did sign Javon Hargrave. Like, they've just got guys. They do. They've just got good players on their roster that are going to be winning some football games, man. I think that if Sam Darnold's your quarterback, if Brock Purdy is not healthy, I think he's going to look good in this offense. I think any quarterback you put in this offense is going to look good just because of the overall scheme that this team runs. It seems like, gosh, me or anybody watching this video could go play quarterback in that 49ers offense, and we could throw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and win a couple of football games. That's just how the 49ers are built, man. They are a team that, as long as Kyle Shanahan is there, I think is always going to be a pretty good team and be a team that will be competing in deep playoff runs for the foreseeable future. And I think they just overpower the Bucs, point blank, simple as that. But moving on to week 12 and week 13, I give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 wins here. I give them a win against the Indianapolis Colts in week 12. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be. It's either going to be Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can handle either one of those guys. Yes, you do have Shane Steichen as their head coach. He worked some wonders with Jalen Hurts, and that was a beautiful thing to see. But I think the Colts, they lost some guys. They traded away Stephon Gilmore. They're still trying to figure some things out as a roster and as a team. I'm not going to say it's a rebuild year for the Colts, but I don't view them necessarily as a team that is super impossible for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to defeat. I think the Buccaneers can hang, and I think ultimately the Buccaneers can win. And then we're week 13 versus the Carolina Panthers. That's another win. You're going up against Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick in this recent NFL draft. I think that the Bucs will be able to get the upper hand of Young in week number 1. Carolina, they do certainly have some pieces in there. They added, I believe they added Miles Sanders. I believe the Lions added David Montgomery, something along those lines. I can't remember. I think Miles Sanders is with the Panthers, and I do believe that David Montgomery is with the Lions. So I messed that up earlier in the video, but the point being is that the Carolina Panthers, yes, they do have some good running backs. Yes, they do have some talent on the defensive side of the football, but they traded away DJ Moore. How is that wide receiver room going to look now? I do believe they added Adam Thielen, but at this point in his career, what is he going to give you? And Bryce Young is still going to be learning in his rookie season. I think the Buccaneers can prevail with all of those factors and be able to score a win here against Carolina. In week 14 against the Falcons, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing. I think the Falcons are going to be a very interesting team to pay attention to this upcoming year. I think they are going to split with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this upcoming season. I do think they will get the better of the Buccaneers in at least one of these matchups. I have them losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 7, but I have the Falcons getting a win back here in week number 14. In week 15 against the Packers, I have the Buccaneers winning. You have Jordan Love. What is he going to be like? You still don't have a ton of weapons in that Packers offense. He did add some guys here or there, but they still are a team that I think is a little bit lacking in terms of offensive talent. Their defense is getting a little bit older and seems like they're slowing down a little bit. I think the Buccaneers will win here against Green Bay in Lambeau in the middle of December. That'll be a tough game to win, but I think the Buccaneers will get that win. Jacksonville Jaguars in week 16. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing. I think the Jaguars are going to be a very good team this upcoming year. I think they're going to be a team that's going to surprise a lot of people in the AFC. I think they dodged the biggest of bullets. I'll call it a missile in terms of not hiring Byron Leftwich and bringing in Doug Peterson. He's one of my favorite coaches in the modern NFL, and I think that he is leading this Jaguars team to a really great course. And I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a great year. Travis Etienne is going to rebound. They've got some good weapons. They've got a really great roster in general. And I think that ultimately it will result in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss. Finally, rounding out weeks 17 and week 18, I have them defeating the New Orleans Saints in week 17 at Raymond James Stadium and losing to the Carolina Panthers in week 18 away. That is a date to be determined for a final record of 8-9. Now, this is where I think it is a very reasonable spot for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to finish with an 8-9 record. Look, you still have a lot of talent on this team, and I don't think an 8-9 record is bad. Could that get you a wild card spot? Could that possibly win the division? I think so. But there's still some questions at that quarterback position. There's still some talent that was obviously retained in the case of Jamel Dean and Levante David and whatnot, but how's that depth going to hold up over the course of this season? What's the team going to look like after a very early bye week if injuries do come up and you don't have another week to rest? That's where I think you run into some problems. The Bucs do have some favorable matchups this year, but I also think that they have some very tough matchups in there as well. They're going to be playing a lot of playoff caliber teams, a lot of potential Super Bowl caliber teams in there as well in a couple of instances, and I think ultimately, hey, 8-9, it's not a bad record for the Bucs. It's what they finished last year. Now, given those context and circumstances, 8-9 was not a great record. But this year, if you finish 8-9, you know what? That's a record that you can build on. That is a record that could even potentially get you in the playoffs or possibly even win you the division, much like what we saw last year. Maybe you even give them a 9-8 record if you think I'm wrong about one of those. You give them a winning record, and I think that a 9-8 record would show some good improvement. And I would even go as far as to say is, hey, they could even go and have a wild card spot or possibly even win the division with a 9-8 record as well. But for me, I have 8-9. You may think differently. You may think 9-8. You may think 7-10. You may think only one win, folks. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers record down in the comment section below. Again, I would love to hear it. If you guys are new, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button if you do enjoy these types of videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, folks, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.